Hey everybody, welcome back to Make Better with your host Nick. So, time for another random, unplanned out 10-minute episode. Why not? I suppose it would be a better product if I actually planned stuff ahead of time, but sometimes I just enjoy seeing what my 10-minute rant is going to turn into. It usually ends up going somewhere, maybe not a great place, but it usually ends up going somewhere at least. So, latest and greatest. So yeah, we rather both, you know, me and my girl have gone up a little bit. So as many of you are probably well aware that we're on this elimination diet, and so we both went up a little bit. So she went on a 3 day cleanse. I watched what I was eating, and did a little bit of anti-inflammatory soup, and it stinks. When you see, the scales start to tip in the opposite direction from what you would like them to go. But again, that's what's great about doing an elimination diet. Is like it's not a huge surprise when you do go up, because it's like, okay, well, what did I eat that was out of the norm? And it's like, oh, okay, well, yeah, that was probably it. So we still get caught by surprise sometimes in the morning. So for instance, I got on the scale this morning and I was just like, whoa, I'm up a pound. And then I remembered, well, yeah, I did eat healthy, but it had been a while since I had rice. So I went back for like 2 extra bowls of rice. So yeah, just because I had a technically healthy meal doesn't mean that I had a healthy amount of it. So of course I'm going to be up a pound just because it's sheer volume, not because of any inflammation. Um, so yeah, that's still the good thing about it, is like, there's always a way to turn it back around. It's easy to see when it's starting to go in the wrong direction, and then yeah, just keep track of like, oh, okay, well, definitely want to be careful about portion control if that was the issue, or stay away from this food item from this place. So that's the other thing too, is you might not necessarily be reactive to, say, a white pizza from a certain chain, and then you go to another chain, you order the same white pizza, and then you're up like 2 pounds the next day. Well, they obviously did something different with their bread, higher gluten content bread or something. I mean, it could be any number of things. So that's why, paying attention to it is just, I think, one of the smartest ways to go. I don't know about, keto. I don't know about carnivore. I don't know about a lot of that stuff. Leave it out, everybody. Now that Daddy's talking to the little box and not paying attention to her. Why, Daddy, why? How come why can't I get lovin's instead of you talking to the box? Yeah. Stay away from the wood. The wood, that's the wood for fire. She loves fire so much, she actually is smart enough to realize that that's the firewood. That's the wood that's going to go to the fire. If I go in after it and chew on it, then I'm not going to be able to have the nice warm fire that I love so much. So she actually stays away. It's kind of fun to watch, but in this case, it was because she happened to walk into it. It poked her, so she started sniffing at it, and I just had to remind her. But no, for the most part, she has zero interest in that, other than to be like hanging around near it if it's cold, and I still haven't gotten around to starting one yet. So that's probably what I'm going to do first when I get off of here, before I start in on doing dinner, is do a fire. But yeah, it's crazy how cold it's been this winter, that despite trying to regularly do a fire every night, haven't really noticed much of a change in the heating bill. I think we're burning through just as much as we did last winter when we didn't build as many fires, but it wasn't this many consecutive days below zero either. So kind of nuts how, and I absolutely hate the people that are going to use that as an example of, oh, see, global warming's not a thing because we had the super cold winter this year. It's like, that's not, the temperature's going to wildly fluctuate. It isn't that it, and get progressively warmer. It isn't that it's, we're still going to have like, the coldest winter on record. That should be enough to scare. Like, hey, we just because, we've survived it previous years. Well, now we've had the coldest winter, of our recordable winters. Maybe not since, the dawn of humanity, but like at least since we started keeping track of it, it's the coldest winter. Since we started keeping track of it, it's the hottest summer. Like, just those things alone should be enough for people to try and wake up. And I, it's silly to rant about it, but it's like, I guess, it doesn't hurt to show, more people are feeling that way, because there are, the smallest percentage is the loudest. And so, like, there still are plenty of people that don't believe that climate change is a thing. But I I like to think that they're in the minority, and that the majority of people Do believe that it's a very real concern, and would like, the powers that be, the people with all the money, to put a little bit of that towards, helping to fix the planet. Like, it's almost like we've already all forgotten that when the entire world shut down for a couple of months, just how, like, the smog disappeared over LA. Previously unseen mountains in the distance you could see again because, um, it made such a noticeable difference just for a few weeks to a few months of, people not being people for just a little bit. The planet immediately began to heal. So, yeah, trying to do that worldwide, just have everybody not do anything for a couple months each year. Um, Sounds fun, actually. To be honest, that actually sounds nice. It might not be realistic, but it was a great example of, like, see, we did this out of a panic, but it was just proof that, yeah, we absolutely can turn it around. At least so far, from what I understand, we're starting to reach the tipping point, and I hate the idea that maybe we're going to be too little, too late. Um, but yeah, I, I I don't like when I get on rants like that because I just feel like I'm talking to the ether instead of actually doing something about it. It's just like, oh, see, I complained about it on my little podcast that nobody watches. So there, I did my part. And it's no, I didn't do my part. I just bitched about it because I hate that that's how the world is. And then I, turned off the laptop and failed to write any letters to senators or any of that stuff. Jeez, baby girl, you gotta get your nails trimmed. Yeah, it's funny. It's amazingly been so cold that for her, this isn't her first winter. She was a Georgia gal, and I thought that baby girl was going to be um, too scared of the snow to enjoy it, and she wouldn't want to go out for walks and stuff. And last winter she did great, but it's been so cold that even though she has a winter jacket, and sometimes if it's really cold, we even throw a neoprene underneath, she has gone out, gone pee and poop, and then gotten to the end of the driveway and just been like "f that" and turned around and wanted to go back in. So that alone will show you just how cold. But because of that, she hasn't been wearing down her nails as fast, so her nails are getting a little on the long side. So I definitely should take care of that. Anyway, thank you for being nice and quiet. She's just like, she has absolutely no idea what to do with herself for these 10 minutes. And you should just see it. As soon as I shut this down and I go over to start the fire, I go to grab a drink or something, she's going to go entertain herself. She's going to be on her bed, passed out or whatever. It's only when she's like a cat in that regard, like where it's like the cat doesn't want to have any of your attention whatsoever. And it seems like that's how my life has been. That I always seem to have cats that think they're dogs and dogs that think they're cats. My whole life, it seems to be the case. But she's very much like that. It's like, as soon as the phone's on and I'm talking to it, that's when she wants my attention. Much like a cat that had nothing to do with you until suddenly you needed to start on a project or do a Zoom call. So she's very much like that in this regard. But for right now, she's being somewhat quiet and just content to be at my feet. So that's kind of sweet. But yeah, so other than that, not a whole heck of a lot. Trying to stay warm and healthy, and yeah, that's, I guess, the other thing too is that like going out for walks is like the main staple of my exercise. Most dog owners, that's their one constant. And like if you kind of fall out of the habit of doing other workouts, the one that it's always going to be there is the walk your dog one. Is just a requirement. And, as long as you're a good pet parent. I mean, if you want to just neglect the dog, hey, I don't like you. But yeah, in this case, it's funny because now even she's saying no to the walk, which is just like, well, geez, that was one of the last constants that I had. It's like, now you don't even want to, so that was kind of surprising. We're working on doing the booty thing with her, but that's an uphill battle. If anybody's ever had to try that, I've only seen one person do it successfully, and I believe that was because he was a service dog, so he kind of felt that was part of the requirement of the job. And I've said it before, but it's fascinating watching a service dog. As soon as the vest goes on, they're just like in work mode. And yeah, he would actually wear the boots. And this was in the desert too, so this was for the hot asphalt, not for cold. But yeah, and it never feels natural for a dog. Even though he was used to having them on, he would still do that like weird little, like uh, wiggle arm walk. It's impossible to describe unless you've seen a dog walk with booties on. But just their overly exaggerated walk because it feels weird and wrong, like there's something on their paws that shouldn't be. So they try and like walk, but also like swing wide in the hopes of like having it shake off, which she has successfully done a couple of times, unfortunately. So that's one big thing. If you ever are going to try any head halter training, or if you're ever going to try, see, it always ends up going back to dog training tips. You got to wait till they're towards the end of the you know video. I bury him in there, but. Yeah, so if you're ever going to do an over-the-nose head halter, or if you're going to do booties, one of the best things to make sure that they take to it is by making sure that they can't slip out of them. So after they slip out of the head halter just even one time, they know it's possible. And even if you cinch it up really tight the next time, anytime that you stop walking, they're going to try to rub it off. And it's the same thing with the booties. Now that she knows that she can fling them off, you know, she doesn't try and gnaw them off of her feet. You know, we would stop her if she tried to do that. But she does just, walk all exaggeratingly and, shakes her feet until they finally get off, because she learned that that was a possible thing, even if you cinch them up really tight. So, yeah, just be warned if you ever try the booties of the head halter on a dog. That's a huge thing. Is you maybe want to have a professional show you how to do it the first time. Not professional, I mean even just somebody at the store that seems somewhat confident, not competent, or confident and confident. Same. But yeah. So now that she's learned that trick, it's going to be tough. But we want to keep trying, because especially with it being so cold, we want to show her it's like, hey, here's how it feels in the warm. Here's how it feels in the cold. Because we have to stick to the dirt roads, because we can't take her on the asphalt after it's been salted. It bites right into her paws. It makes them sore. She hates it. She has to get paw balm. It's miserable to see. So we try to avoid the roads with all the salt on them. So we just stick to the dirt roads and the back roads. But it would be nice if she could wear them on a regular basis, so she could open up a whole new area of walking. I mean, I try and change the routes a bit, but poor thing. I know she must be getting bored of it. At a certain point. Well, she'll never get bored of it, but she is like, hey, can we kind of go this way instead? And it's like, no, not this time, sorry. And I can't explain why, because, you don't speak English. Well, you know a couple words. Anybody ever see that cool mat where it has the buttons and the dog can learn how to actually, like, speak with you? Like, they push this button for, gotta pee, or this button for water, or... it's super fascinating stuff. If you haven't had a chance, definitely check that out. It's amazing. And yeah, I think that she'd be smart enough to learn at least 5 buttons. At least, I don't know if she'd be able to, have a whole huge layout and figure them all out. But she's definitely smart enough to do at least a handful of buttons, which would be cool. So, all right, that's it. It's chilly in here. I want to get a fire going so that I'm not using too much of the actual heat. But yeah, so still alive. Hopefully you are too. Still relatively positive and healthy, and hopefully you are, and if not, hope it improves. And yeah, I will see you next week. I appreciate you.